Disney. A place of love, magic, friendship, and countless shameless lies that have been told to you by your loved ones and people on the internet. When it comes to the enigmatic Walt Disney and his magical empire, it's hard to try and shed some truth on these lies. Before we begin, if you're new to our channel, don't forget to click the red subscribe button and give our video a big thumbs up. Get ready to have your Disney illusions shattered.
You must promise to stay here forever.
Beauty and the Beast is about Stockholm Syndrome. One of the most popular myths about Disney is that Beauty and the Beast, the beloved classic and first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture, is actually about Stockholm Syndrome, a proposed condition in the realm of pseudoscience where a kidnapping victim will grow to like and care for their captor as a survival mechanism. While if you look into it, Stockholm Syndrome's not actually a thing. Belle does not actually match the criteria for someone going through Stockholm Syndrome. Firstly, she isn't kidnapped, but chooses to stay with the Beast as a means to save her father. She also doesn't hesitate when she gets a chance to escape, something that Stockholm Syndrome would require her to do. She also doesn't start liking the Beast until he starts behaving like a man instead of a monster.
She's so beautiful, and well, look at me!
While this lie has become popular over the last few years, it's really only been parroted by people who don't understand what Stockholm Syndrome's supposed to be. Belle is the opposite of a victim. She's a feisty, independent woman who both sticks up for herself when the Beast gets angry, but also learns to discover the man behind the Beast. A sufferer of Stockholm Syndrome, she is most certainly not.
A vista into a world of wondrous ideas, signifying man's achievement, a step into the future, with predictions of constructive things to come.
No one is declared dead on Disney property. Disney is sometimes too conscious of their public perception. This is the same company that doesn't allow marked emergency vans in Disneyland for fear of it upsetting the guests, and it hasn't helped itself when it comes to this lie. While it's often stated that no one is declared dead on Disney property, Disney does not have that kind of power. There have been cases of accident victims passing away on the journey to the hospital, but they were still alive at the Disneyland park. There have been cases when, due to unfortunate circumstances, people have died in Walt Disney's most magical and happiest place on Earth. While we're sure that Disney execs aren't best pleased about that, they simply don't have the power to deny professionals the right to call a spade a spade. While they're certainly image conscious, Disney knows that it'd be worse for their reputation if they ever tried to stop a doctor from declaring a patient dead. It doesn't stop the myth from prevailing, though. Hell, there are some people that believe that no one has ever actually died on Disney property, in spite of reported deaths in each of their parks.
Please, Tinkerbell! We can't keep up with you!
Tinkerbell is based off Marilyn Monroe. For those who love the blonde, sassy, spunky, and curvy fairy with the short green dress, there's no denying that she conjures up images of another buxom blonde. Any guesses on which iconic blonde we're referring to? Here's a hint. She's known for her sultry rendition of Happy Birthday and an iconic wind-blown white dress. If you guessed the gorgeous and voluptuous Marilyn Monroe, then you're absolutely correct. It's hard not to think of the blonde bombshell when looking at Tinkerbell, especially considering that Disney's Peter Pan was released in 1953. Marilyn Monroe was quickly becoming an iconic sex symbol and one of America's most popular film actresses during that time. However, this was totally not the case. The feisty fairy was actually modeled after actress Margaret Carey. She served as the visual reference of Tinkerbell, which meant it was Carey's job to play Tinkerbell on a soundstage while animators rotoscoped and literally traced her movements. However, Carey was not quite as famous as Marilyn Monroe. But then again, who is? As a result, many people related Tinkerbell to the most iconic curvy blonde of the era, Miss Marilyn Monroe. We love Tinkerbell and hope that now Margaret Carey will get the recognition she deserves. Donald Duck was banned in Finland. We're not sure why Donald Duck is so comfortable walking with no bottoms, especially when all his friends do. Maybe it's a bird thing. It just makes people uncomfortable. After all, Donald was banned in Finland for his lack of them, right? Nope. Donald Duck was the star of his own very successful comic in Finland, a comic book that actually performed better in Finland than in the USA. The rumor probably began when Helsinki, the capital city of Finland, was losing money. At the time, Markku Holopainen of the Liberal Party encouraged youth centers to stop buying Donald Duck comics and start buying more sport publications. Naturally, the press ran wild with the story and started twisting the truth. They said Donald Duck was banned in Finland. While this was not the case, the negative publicity actually cost Holopainen the election addiction. He was labeled as the man who banned Donald, which of course cast him in a very negative light. Because who hates Disney? No one. While Donald Duck was never really banned, the myth persists to this day. Over time, it eventually became twisted to Donald being banned specifically for his lack of pants. Donald Duck's reputation did not suffer though. He did pretty well as the myth helped to aid a boom in Disney cartoon viewership in Finland. Someone fell from the Disneyland Skyway. If you're an avid Disneyland park goer or even just a fan of Disneyland, chances are you may have heard this rumor. The rumor mill suggests that the long gone and famous Disneyland Skyway was closed because someone fell out of the ride. Disney then deemed it unsafe and immediately shut the ride down. This too is wrong. Well, sort of. The popular misconception stems from an incident involving a 30-year-old man named Randall Charles. On a morning in April 1994, Randall was riding the beloved Skyway when he claims he fell. The fall was approximately from 20 feet in the air. Luckily, he landed in a tree near the Alice in Wonderland ride. He was able to be rescued, taken to a hospital, and was treated for minor injuries. Randall later filed a lawsuit against Disney for $25,000. Before this, the Skyway was completely untarnished and considered totally safe. Randall's claim, however, was proven to be false. It turned out that Charles had actually jumped out of the Skyway cabin, and so the lawsuit was dismissed. The ride closed not long after the event, but it wasn't due to Charles's jump. The ride had simply just gotten old, was expensive to upkeep, and just couldn't carry enough people. So it's true that someone sort of fell out of the ride, but that's definitely not why it shut down.
Mark my words, there's trouble a-brewing.
Snow White's dwarves represent addiction. Hi-ho, it's off to work we go. We bet you started whistling just now, didn't you? What could possibly be a lie about one of our favorite Disney movies? Well, what if we told you that some people believe that the 7 dwarves represent the 7 stages of cocaine addiction? No way, right? We couldn't believe this either. There have been rumors circulating that Walt Disney and his animators partook in some recreational drugs. LSD was brought to the USA around 1949, and some argue that it was too late to fuel the Disney team. Some fans have defended Walt Disney, citing that he didn't invent the 7 dwarves, so there's no way he could have possibly referenced a certain illegal substance. However, some argue that he did create personalities for each of them. There's just a few problems with this rumor. First, the dwarves are happy, grumpy, dopey, sneezy, sleepy, Doc, and bashful. What about Doc? Doc's not a stage of, well, anything, really. While it's true that Disney animators have snuck in some sly jokes aimed at adults or put the occasional racy photo in their cartoons, we seriously doubt the animators were on drugs. Most recently, Zootopia straight up tips its hat to Breaking Bad and cooking. That kind of mature content just wasn't around in 1940s Disney. Walt Disney was an anti-Semite. While it's incredibly difficult to prove or disprove what's in a man's heart, there's little evidence to suggest Walt Disney was an anti-Semite. Walt is more a victim of guilt by association, as he helped found the Motion Picture Alliance, which would later garner a reputation as being anti-Semitic. Another moment that fueled this rumor is when he invited Leni Riefenstahl, the German filmmaker and Nazi propagandist, to Disney Studios to see the production of Fantasia. Context goes a long way, however, as this was in 1938, before the Second World War began. Not only that, Walt never publicly condoned any of the opinions held by some of the less reputable people that were around him. He was too busy making films that would impact our childhood forever. In fact, Walt worked with numerous Jewish people in Hollywood, including Marty Sklar and the Sherman Brothers, who composed much of Disney's iconic music. From what we can tell, the earliest accusation of Uncle Walt being called anti-Semitic was when Art Babbitt was fired from Disney after a long anti-Disney agenda. Art Babbitt claimed that he was fired because he was Jewish, not because of the years he'd spent making life difficult for the House of Mouse. There isn't really any concrete evidence of Walt Disney saying or doing anything inherently anti-Semitic. Club 21. Disneyland in California isn't just for the tourists. It also holds Club 33, a private club in New Orleans Square for those of us who are filthy rich. It can only be accessed via a secret buzzer. The club is kitted out with props from various Disney movies, and even an antique harpsichord which has been played by the likes of Elton John and Paul McCartney. There's a second Club 33 in Tokyo, Japan, which US club members are also able to attend. Sounds pretty cool, right? You can be a member if you can afford to pay the $15,000 a year on top of a $50,000 a year starting fee. Needless to say, this club is not affordable for most people. But what if we told you there was another secret club, Club 21? It's located near the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. It's a little known place, even more exclusive than Club 33. Well, we told you that, but we were lying. Club 21 is another urban legend that a lot of people believe, but there's no proof of. It's seems the tourists get confused when they see the various corporate lounges dotted around the park for Disney execs to relax. While there is one located near the Pirates of the Caribbean, it's just a lounge, not a fancy secret club. But hey, that doesn't mean they can't build one. Walt Disney left instructions after he died. Walt Disney can best be described as a visionary. While Epcot became a theme park, Walt originally planned it as a real-life city that was always running off of the most futuristic technology available, sort of like Disney's ride and theme park attraction Tomorrowland. He envisioned people working on science and technology-related projects and then coming home to their families in what he had hoped to be his own little utopia. Believe it or not, this part of the story's true. Walt truly was this much of a visionary. However, he died and Epcot eventually became an amusement park. So, what's the lie this time? Well, it's widely believed that Walt was so sure of his vision that he left behind a video with all the instructions that Disney would need for future projects after he died. This meant that Disney would run fine even after he was gone. Unfortunately for Disney, this didn't happen. Walt Disney wouldn't talk of death or even accept his own mortality. It was actually Roy Disney, Walt's brother, who gathered staff together to figure out what to do after Walt was gone. In truth, Walt was such a strong guiding figure for the Disney Corporation that they really didn't know what to do without him, causing Disney to have a very rough patch of business in the years following his death. If anything, they probably wish that they were left a video with instructions. Walt Disney was cryogenically frozen. That wasn't the only lie you've probably been told about Walt's death, however. We all know that when Walt Disney died, he was cryogenically frozen and stuck underneath the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Why is it always Pirates of the Caribbean?
They cannot be found except by those who already know where it is.
He died before the ride had even opened. After all, Walt was an innovator of technology, and where else would you stuff a frozen dead body? Surely our legendary Uncle Walt wouldn't just leave this earth with no way of coming back in the future to spread more Disney magic. Well, we hate to break it to you, but Walt Disney is unambiguously dead. While his reputation and very private personal life certainly created an air of mystery surrounding him, his family have confirmed that he was not frozen. In fact, one of his relatives said that he doubted that Walt even knew what cryonics was. So unfortunately, Walt really is dead and he's not coming back. But that's okay, because he left a huge legacy of great movies, fun amusement parks, and an unparalleled influence on animation. And he even had some lies told about his work along the way.
The inspiring words of the man who held this nation together during its moment of greatest crisis.
That's all we have time for. What were your favorites? Are there any lies, rumors, or myths about Disney that you'd wish we'd have covered? If so, then leave a comment below and let us know. And as always, rate, comment, and subscribe for more videos here at CBR.